This one tip will instantly improve your planche, and it's as simple as incorporating external bicep rotation into your planche exercises. Now, 2 years ago, I was focusing solely on planche, and the reason why is because leading up to that point, I was doing calisthenics for 4 years already. I could already do front lever, weight calisthenics, dynamics, handstand push-ups and that stuff, but planche, it just kept on running away from me, and I could never reach it. So I just dedicated all my training. I just researched so much, and I went through calisthenics coaching with Francisco Rossi to basically get my planche, because that's a dream skill that I wanted. And when I got to the point where I was training planche, the most confusing thing was how to get protraction. Now, everyone knows why you need protraction. It's because it helps planche pressing become easier, and it also makes it safer for you to hold the planche for your shoulders. But there's one thing that no one really talks about, which is bicep external rotation, because that's how you actually get the nice protraction look. And no one really talked about it until I saw this one reel by Andrew Strong. And you can see it on my screen. This is the reel. So I had to send it on my coaching group chat for all the boys to see, you know what I'm saying? So let's watch it.
So everyone talk about protraction, shoulder depression, but they skip one very important point, is shoulder external rotation. Yes, that small movement can help you to activate your lats more, to engage your chest more, and as a result, that will improve your protraction, because the protraction is not only about your serratus anterior, it's also about your chest muscle as well. And once you're ready to do the planche, shoulders down, external rotation, full protraction, that's help you to activate muscle way more and get your planche to the next level.
Lovely bloke, and really good video explaining kind of like how it relates to protraction. But if you want to go from 1 planche press to 3 planche presses by incorporating this tip, then this is going to be the right video for you, so keep watching. But as you can see, like Ruben and Plateau at Tuck Planche, who are in my group chat, they're discussing it, right? So Ruben over here, he had shoulder pain from doing planche before he joined coaching with me, and he says that external rotation helps me so much, especially in pressing. And by pressing, he means just normally doing planche conditioning exercises, because if you're new to Team Isaac, you don't know what we're about. We don't think about the planche as just a simple yielding isometric movement. We think about it as an overcoming isometric. So you're actively pressing through gravity, trying to overcome it, and use that serratus, use your body to go through the ground. So that's what he means by pressing. That's just how we usually interpret it. So Ryan, or Plateau at Tuck Planche, actually, why does it help pressing? What's the physiological explanation? So I'm about to go into this, but Ruben then goes on to say it stresses your protraction more. It's also just a safer shoulder position. So that is one side of it. Ruben is correct. Ryan then says, I see. I'll focus on that form fix next cycle, which starts tomorrow. Been heavily focusing on fixing broken wrists in the first one. So completely different topic, but Ryan has broken wrists. What that means is instead of holding the planche like this, he holds it like that at the start. But after being coached by me, he's been able to fix it. But the thing with planche and the thing with calisthenics movements is unless you fully fix something and it turns into muscle memory, then you can't really move on to the next cue of activation, such as bicep external rotation or serratus activation, because you're still working on that one thing that's been hindering your progress. So Ryan is focusing on that first, but that doesn't mean that he can incorporate it as soon as he fixes whatever he's doing. Ruben says, yeah, just personally I have zero significantly less pain when externally rotated and protracted than not. If we go into Ruben's videos before he started coaching with me, this was what his push-ups were looking like in the planche form. So you can see that when he comes up, his bicep like goes inwards a little bit, which is wrong. You're meant to twist it outwards. So you can tell that it's twisted outwards if you can see the tricep being activated, because it means you're adding torque into your arm. But yeah, this is what was causing his pain. Now he doesn't have any pain because it's externally rotating, so you can kind of see how that side kind of correlates. But going back into the subject, I butted into this conversation and I said, I'll show you the actual difference. Here you go. Okay, so in this story, you can see that when I try to press, my shoulders go like into my arms too early. And so it makes the press really, really hard, right? And if you even look at this one, boom, shoulders already internally rotated before my body goes up. So in the chat, I said, you can see that my shoulder goes into internal rotation really fast when I press. It affects the speed and power of the movement because there's not enough torque. And that's the key thing. As soon as I learned from my coach that you need to try to resist that internal rotation that occurs earlier on, then you're able to allow enough room for your body to then go into the press. Because if you just internally rotate straight off the bat, you're limiting so much power output from your shoulders and everything. So you need to really resist that inwards rotation. All right, so this is another example. I press, shoulders are already like immediately in internal rotation, so that's not good at all. Let's watch that again. Yeah, already turned inwards way too early. So let's look at a good example now. Okay, awesome. Yeah, look at that. I try to resist the internal rotation as much as I can. And on the third, I kind of do it a little bit earlier than the other two, but it's still much better than before. So once again, go into the chat. You can see that the shoulder is meant to internally rotate as the body is going up. Like when you're in a handstand, you're internally rotated, but the purpose of externally rotating during the hold is to combat internal rotation, so you have a better setup for the press. So if you want to improve your planche, you have to improve your planche pressing, because you're overcoming gravity, and it's a movement that is going to push you close to the failure, which will build more strength. So, and it's also an all or nothing exercise. So you either get it or you don't. There's no in between. With the planche hold, it's subjective because you could have more protraction, less protraction. Your wrist angle could be different. The entry could be a little bit more weird, but a press is a press. It's pretty hard to not distinguish between the two. And if external bicep rotation is going to help you with your pressing, then you want to include external bicep rotation in all of your conditioning exercises. So your planche lean push-ups, your planche presses, your planche leans, your L-sit to pike compressions. I'm going to show you a few of my favorite planche pressing progressions. So not just like the actual planche press, not the straddle planche press, not the banded straddle planche press, just normal, easy to perform planche exercises that anyone of every skill level can do, simply by just practicing all these activations. All right, so the very first thing that you want to do is you want to start off with planche leans, because this will build your base and your foundation. So to do a proper planche lean, as soon as you make contact with your hands to the bar, you want to then try to do bicep external rotation. Now, we're not trying to actually change the angle of the bicep, so it's literally facing forward when we're planching. We just want to think about it. The thing that we don't want is internal rotation. So if you just at least think about doing bicep external rotation, you'll eliminate internal rotation, and that's good enough. That's all you need to do. So make contact with the hands on the bar, bicep external rotation as much as it is comfortable. If you do it too hard, it can cause bicep pain and elbow pain, so be mindful of that. You then want to do a hollow body planche by squeezing your glutes and sucking through your chest. Imagine there's a string pulling you up. And then you want to dive forward with your head. And throughout this whole time, my biceps are being externally rotated. I'm activating my serratus. And I'm doing the planche lean. Did you notice how like I wasn't leaning so far forward that my wrists were like, no, because gone are the days where you're gonna see a tutorial on the internet about you trying to maximize the actual lean of the planche lean, because that's just wrong. That's working more towards something called a dead planche, where you're planching like this instead. That's the only thing it's going to strengthen. If you want to strengthen actual planche, which is basically a planche press in suspended animation, then you want to do it the proper way. So putting it all together again, boom, boom. I'm going to dive forward, retract. Imagine that it's like a string pulling me up through my chest here. And another secret cue, if you think about pinching your collarbones together, then you're going to get more protraction. Obviously you can't do it right, but you're super compensating. So if you just imagine that you're going to do it, then you're going to have a much better time protracting. Okay, so that's the first exercise. The second exercise you can then incorporate is a planche lean press. So what does that look like? You're doing a planche lean, and then you're pressing back up again, going back down. And when you come back down, you want to make sure that you're not going back into your old habits of internal rotation. As you come down from that pike position, you're then trying to make sure that you externally rotate. So this is specifically training you to re-enter the external rotation. So a normal planche lean with bicep external rotation, planche lean press. When you come back down, you're in a handstand and you're internally rotated. You want to then go back into external rotation, like so, and then press back up. This next exercise is going to be something that you've never necessarily seen before. I like to call it an L-sit pike compression, and I'm going to demonstrate one rep of it. So go to like a half L-sit. You don't have to go into a full one, but externally rotating is just trying to push through. So it's kind of like doing a planche press, but you're isolating the serratus and you're working on really building that strength in bicep external rotation. So I'm obviously not going into a planche position at all. The only things I'm holding is a L-sit and a pike, but it still allows me to train the muscles that I want to train in the right way with enough specificity. Okay, so if I do it again, right, I'm really just grabbing it the same way that I'm doing a planche lean, and then I'm trying to externally rotate. And then the more that my hip goes up, the more that I imagine that I'm going into a handstand, and I'll start to lose that external rotation, go into internal. And then when I come back down, I regain it again. And as I come back up, I try to maintain as much of it until it's forced to go internal. So once again, you don't have to go in the full L-sit, save that core strength. But then, now I'm in internal. Now I'll go back in external. And I'll try to stop myself from going internal until I have to. That's the variation of it. Now, there's an easier variation for it by using medium P-bars, because not many people can do this exercise. It actually cramps up your core quite a bit when you first try it. So this is the variation with legs as assistance. So I've got the medium P-bars now. I'm gonna do the same thing, like a half L-sit, and I'm just gonna slide. And I might just stop here. Like any range of motion that's past this point is pretty tough. It's actually pretty hard. So just sliding this will do. Because I mean, you're still working the right muscles, and you're still pushing through. It might not look as gravity defying as the other exercise, but at the end of the day, it's an exercise, you know? You're using this to work towards that, so it doesn't have to look pretty. As long as you're doing the right things and it's being specific to your goals and you can add volume into it, that's all you need. The next exercise that you want to work on is push-ups. Now, push-ups are extremely hard in planche, and you'll actually begin to realize the actual difficulty of push-ups once you get deep into the rabbit hole. Because in face value, it's like, oh, planche holds, planche pressing, and planche push-ups, they're all the same shit. But no, planche push-ups, especially with good form, hold, but traction at the top, is just like, it's a whole new skill. I would even say it's a completely different exercise. So use it as a tool to help you with stuff that's a little bit more easier, like bicep external rotation, but you're taking that to the next level. So incorporating all the cues that you'd use in a hold or in a press into a push-up just makes it like that little bit harder, okay? That's how I can explain it. It's not really that easy to explain. You just have to kind of do it. But go for my push-up now. And I want to try to just make sure that I don't go into internal rotation like this. So lean, push up. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that at the top, I do that. Can you see like my tricep is striated because I'm externally rotating my bicep? So it's going to become really, really hard for you to do that the more reps you perform, but you need to do your best to try to resist that internal. So I go in, so this is an exercise that specifically helps you develop bicep external rotation. Remember that. Now we do it in the tuck planche push-up position. So we have our high parallettes to give us more range of motion. We're just gonna do the exact same but in tuck planche push-up. So my best cue for this, imagine you're pinching your collarbones together at the start. Don't move your head position, so don't go like this and this. Just keep it neutral, like the same. And that's it. That's pretty much all the exercises that you really need at this point to work on bicep external rotation. It's gonna be the missing piece that most of you guys haven't thought of or really practiced enough to take your planche to the next level. So hopefully this exercise tutorial provided you a little bit more of a hands-on and interactive perspective. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if planche is something that you want to really nail this year, just like me, then I've got something special for you. Down in the description below, I've got this link for a free form review. So I'm selecting a few lucky candidates that want me to rate what their planche form is like, whether that be like your conditioning exercises or your attempts. I will personally look at your clips, and it might even end up on a video, who really knows. So if that's something that you're interested in, just click that link down below, and I'll see you in the next video.